Greetings, Monsterites! I'm Monster Master Arthur, and this video was one of those spur-of-the-moment type of things. Basically here I want to bring a bigger public eye of attention, or bring this more into mainstream, as this hobby is just awesome. So I want this to be sort of maybe even an introduction to monster miniatures. And I have this funny personal belief that you're not truly a monster lover unless you own at least 5 monster miniatures in your collection. Now, before we get started, I want to mention 2 channels that are related to monstrous miniatures. Number 1 is Beer, my friend Nick, and he does wargaming, so you're going to see the Warhammer side of miniatures on his channel, and AJ Pickett that hones more of the RPG side of the hobby. A lot of D&D monster in-depth reviews on his channel, so I hope you enjoy those. Do check them out. And before we jump in, let this be a word of caution for you. There's a ton of eye candy coming up, a lot. It's going to be overwhelming for some people. Don't say I didn't warn you. And so you have been forewarned, and to start, we're going to show off this beholder, this gorgeous beholder, and let me point out that most of the miniatures that will come your way will be unpainted, particularly the better sculpts out there. And as you'll notice soon in this video, we're going to go on to Warhammer-only miniatures, pretty much, and this is not to promote Warhammer in any way, as they really don't need that, as I think, and I think a lot of people out there would agree with me, that they're overpriced. I mean, their sculpts are simply gorgeous, especially the recent ones, and that's what inspired me to make this video, but they are overpriced, period, for what they are, and that's plastic injection mold minis. But just simply look at this list, look at these creatures, and you may notice that here and there I may have not included a truly monstrous miniature, although that's debatable too, but just glance at all this stuff. Glance at the colors, and what I have to say with GW, or Games Workshop, the Warhammer miniatures that you see here, is that they've been designed so well to tell a story. Yes, a lot of the new ones have so much going on and so much detail that at first sight you don't even know what you're looking at. But overall, the artwork, the creative brainstorming that went into them is simply astounding. And once again, instead of just having models ready for battle, they created the whole sculpts to tell a sort of tale of where this model came from maybe, and or what it's capable of. And so my reason for bringing up miniatures on this channel is, for one, they're incredibly awesome, just as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, just beautiful eye candy. But within this hobby you can also develop creatively, as you can paint these miniatures. You can buy specific quality acrylic paints that are suited for this. And I'm not talking about, and don't use model paints, and I'm talking about like car models, airplane models. Do not use those paints on these minis. You're going to want to use acrylic paints, particularly acrylic paints for miniatures, as it's basically the highest quality acrylic paint out there. It's fine, the colors are sharp, the pigments are fine, and the color quality is unbeatable. So as you develop better as a painter of these miniatures, you will also develop naturally better at acrylic painting, or even oil painting, just painting on a 2D flat surface. So if you're a painter, or if you want to be a painter, and this includes digital painting too, this will improve your ability to paint. Period. It will. But for that to happen, you do have to spend enough time. But this is such an awesome way to learn about depth in your creation, as you play with things called inks and washes that sink into the depths of the miniature, as well as dry brushing, and also layering with light layers of paint instead of going heavy from the start. This gives you a lot of room to play with in shading and giving life to your creation, or to the miniature. And not to mention, you can always 3D print your stuff now. What an age we're in. But there's a whole nother point to miniatures, not just the aesthetics, because they're an awesome model that you could just put anywhere in your house and it looks amazing, especially if you design an awesome base for it. And there's a lot of videos and info on that out there. But in addition to all that, they have meaning as well. Oh my goodness, that simply adds so much to these things. And I'm talking about, well, first of all, RPG games, as your creature will have purpose within your tabletop games such as Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. It actually has a value to it. It has attack points. It has defense points. And in addition to that, war games, tabletop war games. I'm talking like Warhammer as you see here, as well as War Machine. And in these cases, the miniatures really shine because you may have a commander or a lead wizard in your army. And so now when it's standing in a beautiful case, it's not just because of the aesthetics, the art process that went into creating it, but also what it signifies. And that, my friends, is, well, should I say brilliant in this video? No, I'll say genius. And not to mention, you can also use them to expand on the board games you may already have, or to upgrade them. Have I not sold you yet? If not, just keep looking and pause the video if you have to. And better yet, go out throughout the internet and check out all the crazy miniatures out there. And seriously, get some. As you may know, I've been out of Warhammer for years, and just lately, I've got this bug, and I started relearning the rules, particularly Warhammer 40k, which is the future, and Warhammer Age of Sigmar, which now is the old age version, or fantasy version, which you see both in the video. And all in all, for the last years, I've just had this bug to try to collect more miniatures, especially in the years where they were less accessible to me. And among one of the monster video series I gave you guys an option to vote for at one of our milestones was a hunt for the best miniature. And that didn't win the vote, but I think I'm going to implement that in the channel anyway, just to share my experience with it. And basically what that is, we choose a monster such as Medusa or a Chimera or a dragon or a minotaur, anything out there, and it could even be from a movie if there is indeed a miniature for it somewhere out there, and I'll try my best to search it. And what I want to do is have a whole set of monsters from A to Z, and remember, this is thousands of monsters, literally, in miniature form, painted up. One of each type, maybe sometimes a little bit more if you catch my drift. But not just that, not just one of each type. For if you guys vote for a zombie werewolf or a werewolf zombie or an undead werewolf, which, well, basically could all be one thing, I'm not just gonna search for any miniature, I'm gonna look through all the board games out there, all the miniature producing companies out there, and I'm gonna find the best one. That's right. And how can you guys let me know which one to search for next? Well, we can start with this video below. The monster that gets the most likes, thumbs up, will be the first miniature that I will search. The best, awesome, quality miniature sculpt out there, and I'll do my best to paint it up, then I'll feature it in the video. You'll see that, and then in that video below, you can vote for the next best miniature, well, monster mini that I should find out there. And you can always help guide me. If you have some ideas of an awesome creature miniature, because I'll probably miss some awesome ones out there, let me know, as some awesome sculpts exist in particular board games and such, or other games I've never even heard of. You can always let me know and send me a link to an awesome mini that you've seen out there. And then I'll go and compare it with all the others and try to choose the most aesthetically, monstrously pleasing monster miniature of it that I can get my claws on. I hope you guys got some kind of inspiration and did enjoy this video, and I hope it was a great introduction or some kind of introduction for a lot of people out there, as this really deserves to be mainstream, especially with monster lovers out there. Until next time, thank you for being a part of World of Monsters.